What is the Moon? According to science, the Moon is a natural satellite locked in Earth's orbit that exerts a gravitational force on our planet, responsible with pulling on water in the oceans and causing bulges that create high tide. We can only see one of its two faces, as the dark side of the Moon lies concealed away from any curious eyes. When looked at through a telescope, the Moon reveals many intriguing features deemed natural by the scientific community. There are numerous formations, especially inside craters, that greatly resemble artificial structures, the likes we see here on Earth. They also reflect a great deal of sunlight. Because of these, researchers pursuing alternative truths have wondered if there isn't already an active Moon operation in place. After all, the Moon is a very strategic spot. It has one hidden side where you can place all the bases without anyone noticing, while the other side is constantly keeping an eye on unaware Earthlings.
But why, some say, the Moon? Why choose this as our goal?
And judging by the space race of the 60s, where the US competed against the Soviet Union to claim first spot on the Moon, they really wanted to get the operations going.
We choose to go to the Moon. We choose to go to the Moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too.
Whoever reached the lunar surface first had the upper hand in establishing the first facility, as well as discovering what was up there. After this duel had been comfortably won by the US, a new age to conquer Earth's orbit as well as space began. On March 23, 1983, during the Cold War between Soviet Russia and Western powers, President Ronald Reagan initiated the Strategic Defense Initiative, or SDI.
Let me share with you a vision of the future which offers hope. It is that we embark on a program to counter the awesome Soviet missile threat with measures that are defensive. Let us turn to the very strengths in technology that spawned our great industrial base and that have given us the quality of life we enjoy today. What if free people could live secure in the knowledge that their security did not rest upon the threat of instant US retaliation to deter a Soviet attack, that we could intercept and destroy strategic ballistic missiles before they reached our own soil or that of our allies?
The president said he was launching a massive research effort to develop space-age weapons that would bring down or incapacitate Soviet missiles before they reached the U.S. This, the president claimed, would secure the U.S. against nuclear attack and eventually make nuclear weapons themselves obsolete.
I know this is a formidable technical task, one that may not be accomplished before the end of this century. Yet current technology has attained a level of sophistication where it's reasonable for us to begin this effort.
The project, dubbed Star Wars, was meant to deflect the Russian intercontinental ballistic missiles in case they were launched towards the US or Europe. In order to tackle the heavy artillery, breakthrough technologies had to be developed and installed in orbit. The project received funding but was short-lived. The Cold War had ended 2 years later, and the space technology seemed too complex and costly. So later, administrators had to reduce the SDI to a minimum. Of course, what went on behind closed doors remains classified to this day. However, various independent researchers believe they know what's happening above us, and I have to tell you, it's like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Gigantic, hollow spaceship that's been put into a special orbit around our planet and contains cities and structures that are inside and outside of the Moon.
Skywatcher John Leonard Walson has captured mind-boggling footage of spaceships stationed in Earth's orbit in close proximity to the Moon. He's captured a mothership and other small vessels on camera, together with other moon structures believed to be artificial and part of a larger complex. So, is it possible that world superpowers have already established a moon colony and are waiting for the opportune moment to make this news public? Or are we dealing with extraterrestrial beings that have dwelled on the moon for who knows how long? This would explain why nobody has set foot on the moon for such a long time. Is there a pact between these beings and our earthly leaders? Whatever the case, there are just too many strange things happening when it comes to the moon. For instance, in 2009, NASA had bombed the moon in a $79 million attempt to learn if there is water out there. The explosion was meant to raise 6-kilometer-high plumes of dust that would confirm the existence of water on the lunar surface or not. The mission failed to reach the predicted outcome, and many were left scratching their heads as to what had happened. The Cabeus crater where the explosion had taken place is on the dark side of the moon, further fueling beliefs that NASA had bombed a Russian or alien base instead.
This is Apollo Saturn Launch Control. We are still go at this time. T-minus 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. We have ignition sequence start. The engines are on. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. We have commit. We have liftoff. Liftoff at 7:51 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
On December 21, 1968, NASA's Apollo 8 mission marked the first manned mission outside of Earth's orbit and around the moon. Close to 3,000 photos were captured using a 70mm camera installed on the spacecraft. Before heading back to Earth, the camera snapped a peculiar picture of what appears to be a huge entrance into the lunar surface. No more pictures were taken afterwards. When the public demanded explanations, the astronauts blamed this on a camera glitch. And there are just too many weird things happening on the dark side of the moon. During their 1969 lunar voyage, Apollo 10 crew heard weird music coming from this unseen part of Earth's satellite. So, could the moon be more than what we are taught to believe? Well, after successfully carrying the first astronauts on the moon and back to Earth, the spacecrafts were deliberately crashed into the lunar surface to serve scientific purposes. We don't know exactly what the researchers have concluded, but we do know what they heard: the moon ringing like a bell when struck. With so many theories out there, it's challenging to determine which point of view is right or wrong, and how close we are to the truth. At the end of the day, our own research and life understanding will offer the answers we need and are craving for. If there are aliens involved, or humans, or even both, we can only speculate.